There we go.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon to all of you that were able to join us today. We're here to talk about a very important project for our local community, and that's the replacement of our 100-year-old bridge across the Columbia River. It's a very large, complex project, especially for the region, and we're looking for some extremely talented support as we proceed through the development of this particular project. I'm glad that you could join us today, and hopefully you find what we have to present to you informative. And if you have any questions, don't necessarily hold them to the end. It's okay. Speak up or put your virtual hand up and we'll get to you. The intent here is to make sure that everybody understands what we're trying to do with this procurement. And we want to attract some really good bids on this, and we'll go from there. So Kevin, if you could put up the agenda. What we're going to do today is we're going to have Kevin introduce the attending firms that are participating today. We'll then get into a presentation, and I will then start the presentation off with the introduction of our team members, and then go through a whole series of slides that hopefully will answer a number of your questions that you may have. If you have other questions, please feel free. We'll have time either during the presentation or we do have time at the back end of the presentations for questions and comments. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and adjourn. So Kevin, if you could start the introduction of the attending firms, please.
All right, I'm going to go down the participants list. Let's see, there's 25 of us on the call so far. So I'm just going to go down this list, and then if I call your name, just identify your company if it's not already identified, and anybody else that you are associated with. The first name that I see on the list is Santosh Jacob Kuravia from Exeltech.
Good afternoon, folks. Santosh Kuravilla, president of Exeltech. Glad to be here. Thank you, Kevin.
Santosh, is there anybody else? I see Ian. Anybody else from Exeltech aside from Ian Cannon?
Shelley Fredrickson from Exeltech is also here.
Excellent.
Hello.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Ian, for attending. Going down the list, Chris Hoffman. Chris, what is your firm, and who else from your group is here?
Yeah, it's Chris Hoffman, and I'm with Barney and Worth, and I think I'm the only one here today representing that firm.
Thank you, Chris. Going down the list, Chuck Green from OTAC. Chuck.
I'm Chuck Green from OTAC and sitting here in Vancouver, Washington.
Chuck, who else from OTAC or from your group is in attendance today?
So we also will have Mike Shannon from HNTB is also here on this call.
Excellent. Thank you, Chuck. Going down, Dale Kuykendall from Winaha Group. Dale, are you the sole representative?
Yes, I am. Just me today.
Great. Thank you, Dale. Diana Walker, McDonald. Welcome, Diana. Are you the sole representative, or anybody else here as well?
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, it's just me today from Mott McDonald.
Thank you, Diana. Emma Kravitz, Turner and Townsend. Emma, are you the sole representative in attendance?
Hi, sorry. Yes, I am the sole representative from Turner and Townsend.
Thank you for your attendance. Julie Sarson. Which firm are you with?
Good afternoon. I'm Julie Sarson with Burns McDonnell. Thank you for having me. Just me on my own today.
Excellent. Thank you. Going down the list here, Melissa Newton from WSP.
Yep, that's me, and Rob Turton is here as well.
Excellent, thank you. We have Noah Noteboom from the Columbia Gorge News, just for your information. I see Rob Turton from WSP. And then we've got Svea Truax. Svea, what was the name of your company? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute still, Svea. All right, well, we're going to keep moving here. Is there anybody on the call that I have not acknowledged yet? Well, I see Michael McElway from the executive director from the Port of Hood River. Welcome, Michael. Is there anybody else? Christy Chapman from the Port of Hood River. I just got a notice that Ron Pananen from HDR will be joining us shortly.
Hi, Kevin. This is Eric Levison from Murray Smith.
Excellent. Eric, are you the sole representative?
I believe so.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else? Hi, Ron. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry, I dropped off. I had technical difficulties.
No problem. After 2 years of this, I think we're getting used to it. And anybody else that I have missed?
This is Svea Truax. Sorry, I was having technical difficulties. Also, anyway, I'm with RSEC Environmental Engineering Consulting here in Hood River. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. So I think that is everyone aside from who will be presenting, Commissioner Fox.
Okay.
If you're ready, I can tee up the PowerPoint.
Yes, if you would, please. And again, thanks to everybody for attending today. We're really excited to talk to you about our project. So if you've got it up, Kevin, we'll get started here.
Yeah, just give me a quick sec, please. Okay. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, if you could start the slideshow.
You got it.
Okay, so if we go to the next slide, Kevin. Okay, so today we have all of our members of the Bi-State Working Group, and we have Jacob Anderson, who is a commissioner from Klickitat County on the Washington side. We have Bob Benton, who is a commissioner from Hood River County on the Oregon side. Marla Keither, who is a mayor of White Salmon on Washington side. Kate McBride, who is a mayor of Hood River, Oregon. Catherine Kiewit is the mayor of Bingen on the Washington side. Yours truly here is Mike Fox, commissioner of Port of Hood River. And Kevin Greenwood is our project director for the Port of Hood River, Oregon as well. So if we go into the next slide.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Anderson, County Commissioner for Klickitat County. This meeting is about you guys being able to contact and see us, as well as us being able to see you. If we're going to be working together with one of your firms or multiple of your firms, this is our introduction. This is and how we would like to introduce you to the project. We'll also get to show you some of the history of this bridge. It's a bridge with a long history of 100 years nearly. And then we also, we're looking, I'm a county commissioner. We're looking at, we've got 2 counties, 3 cities, and 2 states all working on one project. And we've all been working on in the same path for quite a while now. And we've built a pretty good set of steam and success this year. And we're looking to capstone that by picking a firm that's going to represent us, because while I build many bridges here in the county, I don't build any bridges of this size. And we're looking for somebody who has the success and the history that can get this bridge finished and completed before I die.
Hopefully way before you die, my friend. Okay. Marla?
Hi, everyone. My name is Marla Kiesler. I'm mayor, as Mike mentioned, for the city of White Salmon, and we're a small community on the Washington side with about 2,500 residents. I'm going to speak a little bit about the bridge and the critical role it plays in our community, so hopefully build out a picture for you that's deeper than just the bullets that you can see in display. So the roughly 4,400 foot long Hood River Bridge connects not only White Salmon, but also Bingen, Washington with Hood River, Oregon, serves as an essential link to the local communities and the region. Roughly 60% of the users are from Klickitat County, Washington, but the bridge that supports all of this, as Jake mentioned, is the original interstate bridge, which was built in 1924 and is functionally obsolete. No shoulders, travel lanes just over 9 feet wide, and known seismic deficiencies. Despite that, continues to support essential interstate movement of freight, commuters, and visitors. This project directly serves all designated rural freight modes and provides a vital linkage between the agricultural heartland and the ocean ports located in the Pacific Northwest. To give you a sense of the scale, to appreciate what makes up those 4 million trips annually across this structure, the Hood River and Yakima Valleys are a world leader in the production of pears and apples, and Columbia River serves as our nation's largest wheat export gateway. There's well over 10,000 separate farm operations that depend on shipments along the routes enhanced by this project. Pre-pandemic, the combined rail, marine, and highway freight volumes served by this bridge exceeded 25 million tons in 2019. And our entire region is home to more than 83,000 residents. Many of us use this bridge daily for employment, childcare, and medical services, creating what we believe is a truly bi-state regional economy. On top of that, we're in the Columbia Gorge National Scenic Area, which we believe is a national treasure and hosts over 2 million visitors a year. So to emphasize also how critical this is as an access point, the Hood River Bridge is the only connection for passenger vehicles between Interstate 84 and Washington State Route 14 for nearly 45 miles. So that's between Bridge of the Gods and Cascade Locks and the US 197 bridge in the Dalles. It's also currently weight restricted at 64,000 pounds. This means heavier trucks have a 75-mile gap between Interstate 205 and US 197. These isolation points also limit evacuation routes, making our communities especially vulnerable to increased wildfire risks and known earthquake risks. So quite simply, this bridge serves indeed as the lifeline of the local communities in our region.
Hey, Kevin. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Kate McBride. I'm the mayor of Hood River. And welcome to the Gorge, even though it is only virtually right now. So glad you're here. I'm just going to talk about the importance of communication, well, to the community and to us, our organizations. We have a very engaged citizenry here in the Gorge. And they love to give input. And if their ideas aren't feasible, they want to know why. They don't want to be just told no, they want to be told why. We have numerous environmental groups that will be watching and giving input along the way. And they need to know that their input has been heard and addressed. Some of the preliminary studies have talked about pedestrian and bicycles on the bridge. And, you know, we have people that would love to have a separate path for pedestrians, a separate one for bikes, which likely would be more expensive and more complicated. We also have tribal fishery areas that are very close to the bridge, and there's privacy issues with those things too. So there's going to be a lot of needed communication between a lot of different groups to explain what, and to take their concerns into consideration, and also to explain if we can or can't do something, why, and how much those things will cost, and potentially how much more a toll might be if we add these different things on. We need to build consensus regarding mitigation for the removal of the historic bridge. It's a very sensitive issue with the public, as well as it will be with the National Scenic Area, the Gorge Commission for the National Scenic Area. There's some people that will want to have elements of the old metal green bridge that is so nostalgic to so many people, incorporate it into the new bridge. Some people will say, no, offsite mitigation is going to be fine. We'll be fine with that. But I think it's going to be a very sensitive issue. And, we need to start early on how things are going to work, and, let people know when we know what something's going to be, the sooner we can let them know that it's going to be a certain way for a certain reason, and that they've been heard, would really be great. I think I covered the public agencies. Oh, with the public agencies, the scenic area permitting is going to take quite some time to get through. And there will be organizations that will be giving input to that permitting process also. And so I would say that it would be a great idea to meet with those other entities that are giving input into the Gorge Commission separately to find out what their concerns are. And, to start a dialogue with those organizations early on. So there's just going to be a lot of communication that really is needed. The Port of Hood River, including their lobbyists, the bi-state working group members, and local members of the State Department Transportation Committees have been working really hard to elevate the necessity of the bridge replacement. The importance of this work is first and foremost to gather financial support. But secondly, we know that it is hard for many locals to envision anything but our nostalgic and iconic metal green bridge spanning the Columbia. Getting the word out within the greater region and close local communities about the reasons for the replacement and how great it will be to have a safe and convenient way to connect our communities will be critical. Local and regional newspapers, radio, public events to promote how we're working together to make this happen and why will be necessary. We'll expect the work that has started to continue with whoever we hire as the management team, leading the way and expanding on what we've already started on. All the current organizations, of course, expect to continue, doing work, but, we would be led by the management team that we hire. Just as important is communicating with the bi-state working group and what will eventually morph into the bi-state commission as it forms. Both of these entities will not want to be extracting information from the management group. We would expect that you would take the lead in providing us information and pushing it forward. We don't want to push you. We want you to push us. So we want you guys to be one step ahead of us, feeding us the information we need when we get to that point. I just want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us today and hear what our concerns are.
Okay, Bob.
All right, hold on a second here. Hi, I'm Bob Benton. I'm the representative from Hood River County, which is on the Oregon side of the bridge. I'm going to be talking a little bit about governance and who will own the new bridge. I think before I kind of move into the slide, I'd just like to say that just maybe at times we're going to be using two different talking about two different groups, the bi-state working group, which is us, and then the bi-state bridge authority, which is the new bridge authority that has not yet been established, but at some point will hopefully be established, which will be who will end up owning and operating the bridge. So I think if I make any mistakes or and mix the two up, feel free to ask questions and anybody at any point in the future, as well as those two things may be a little confusing moving forward. But like I said, we are the bi-state working group and we advise the Port of Hood River. So moving into the slides, who will own the new bridge? After much hard work from the working group staff and lobbyists, both Oregon and Washington passed legislation that will allow us to establish bi-state bridge authority. Considering how difficult it's been to get legislation through both states, this was supported on both sides in a bipartisan way. The intent is that the new authority will eventually own, operate, and maintain the bridge. It hasn't been established yet, but that's going to be what we're really pushing for. The current bridge is owned by the Port of Hood River with no representation from citizens of Washington. I think this is an issue that's existed for 100 years, unfortunately, and it's something we're going to remedy through this process. And that inequity will be changed with the creation of the new Bi-State Bridge Authority, and there will be representation from both sides. We don't know exactly what that will look like yet, but we're currently working on that. Our group, the Bi-State Working Group, the one you're in front of today, is the precursor to the Bi-State Bridge Authority and currently advises the Port of Hood River. This management contract, the one that you are all here to hopefully bid on and obtain, will be initially let or sponsored by the Port of Hood River, will be novated or transferred to the new Bi-State Bridge Authority probably sometime in 2023 when we get it up and running. We are currently working quickly to get the Bi-State Bridge Authority language drafted so we can get a better picture of exactly what that entity will look like, and so that we can move forward and start to get this process rolling without this interesting relationship between our group and the Port of Hood River. So with that, I will end my portion here.
Hey, Kevin. Yeah.
Sorry. All right, so this is my slide. All right, so as the project director for this bridge replacement effort, the primary goal or milestone is the completion of the NEPA and the receipt of the record of decision. It's taken over 4 years to get through this process. We are not yet complete on the NEPA work and receiving the ROD, though we do anticipate that being completed later on this summer. Some of the key issues that we are awaiting on is the biological opinion from National Marine Fisheries. We are currently working on the memo of agreements with the Section 106 consulting parties. As you likely know, those consulting parties are primarily the tribes and historic preservation groups, and their interest in preserving or commemorating the loss of the current historic Hood River Bridge. We are also working very closely with the Nez Perce, the Warm Springs, the Yakima, and the Umatilla. Those are the 4 treaty tribes in the Mid-Columbia region. And Federal Highways has requested that treaty MOAs be completed before signing off, before Federal Highways signs off on the final EIS and the ROD. The main issue related to the treaty MOAs will be the loss of access to fishing areas impacted by construction, primarily during, those would be temporary uses during construction. So the areas along the river under the current bridge and the proposed bridge, there will be impacts to those families and those fishers that have a right to be there. One of the interesting things about this negotiation process with the tribes, as well as the larger federal processes, is the fact that many of the tribes will actually hook their nets up to the current piers on the bridge. And people that have lived in the area for some time have seen nets floating downstream off of the piers. And so one of the interesting aspects of this project will be looking to find ways that the new bridge can be designed in such a way that can maybe facilitate some of those fishing issues that the tribes are looking for. Either way, the process should wrap up by later on this year. And as many of you know, the preferred alternative is located just west of the current bridge, but it runs just short of impacting that treaty fishing access site on the white salmon side. And as we've been talking with the tribes, you know, this project has been really has started since the late 1990s. And so there's been big gaps in the studies, the environmental studies throughout the last 20 years. And That type size and location study, which is a critical document for establishing many, if not most, of the design criteria for this project, was completed over 10 years ago now. So the Oregon Division of Federal Highways is the lead federal sponsor. We anticipate that the funding will be through a U.S. Department of Transportation, utilizing TIFIA funds. The project's already received a U.S. DOT planning grant through BUILD. And so we will be doing most of our coordination, or you as the project manager and the owner's rep will be working primarily with Oregon Division of Federal Highways and ODOT. So that is kind of a recap on the NEPA process. And let's see, the next one is cost and schedule elements.
Yeah, so earlier last fall, we started an estimate of this project based on the preferred alternative. And this completed in November. It's the first real comprehensive estimate that was done. It equates to about a Class 4 estimate based on AACE guidelines. The estimate came out at just shy of $500 million and does include escalation to to the centroid of the project, centroid of expenditures, but we've allowed 4% per year. So we've got some exposure here. As you all know, escalation is running somewhere around 6 to 7% as we speak. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully as we go forward. Just as important on the cost side is we looked at a schedule, and there's some interesting challenges as you get into this particular project logistically with where it's going to be built. We see that we want to have a design contract issued later this year. So whoever gets the RBMC contract will be responsible for developing a design package and running a design competition with a recommendation to award. And we would like to award it by December of this year. And then the next major piece of this will be awarding a construction contract in late 2026 to provide a notice to proceed in early 2027. One of the issues that we have on this project, we have very narrow 3-month windows that we can actually work in the water in the river as far as putting foundation works in. So it's going to be very important for this contract to anticipate that workload and make sure that we're planned out properly, that we can hit the water and get all of the work that we need done in that first year. If we miss it, there goes another year in the schedule, or potentially a year in the schedule. We would like to complete construction on the bridge and open it October 2030, which is about little shy of 8.5 years from now. And then about 2 years later, we will have to remove the existing bridge. And what we see is this RBMC contract will be the umbrella contract over this entire duration, which includes removal of the existing bridge. We do have contingency including in the estimate at about 30%. So it does meet the intent of a Class 4 estimate. You go to the next slide. So the role of this contract, it's a super important role. As you would expect here locally, this is going to be the largest project that this community has ever taken on since the original bridge was built. At almost $500 million, this is by far the largest series of contracts we are going to award. And we need a group of people that can really help us and act as our owner's representative to execute this project. We expect this company or this contract will interface with all of the various government bodies that others have talked about thus far. We've got a series of contracted lobbyists that we're using right now to attract funds from both the state of Oregon and Washington, as well as the federal organizations. This contract will be interfacing with them to set strategy, to work with the bi-state working group and others to implement strategies to attract funds. As Mayor McBride talked about earlier, you'll be interfacing with local groups and businesses. We need to really beef up our communication program on this project. There's a lot of interest in the communities throughout the region of what's going on here. And we need to get the word out much more frequently, much more often about what's really going on here. And when we need their help, they're ready to go. They're ready to help us, but we have to tell them when and what we need. This company will oversee the design and construction efforts. So we expect that as the design contract is awarded and progressed, the project engineering rep on the RBMC will actually go in and review progress along with perhaps the scheduling organization and the RBMC to really understand how progress is being made. One of the things that we're going to really push for is we don't like surprises. We really don't like late surprises. So if we've got bad news, it doesn't get better with age. It's not like a wine. So we really expect the RBMC to have the pulse of the project, be looking out in the future, anticipating where issues are going to be raised and attack them before they become an issue. So we're looking for a group of people that's got deep experience in these types of projects, can anticipate where we're going to have a problem and then attack them so they don't become one. And then work very closely with us to make sure that we're lockstep together. We want to have a long-term, very successful relationship with the RBMC. We both win, we both lose. Hopefully it's all win. We expect this contract to really understand and maintain a project baseline. That's the project cost, the schedule, and the scope of the project, using a very structured change control process to make sure that we know exactly where we are, where we should be, and if we're not where we should be, what are our options to get us to that point. And it's okay to be ahead of schedule. We kind of like that. And it's okay to be under budget. We like that even better. So we're really looking for the RBMC to help us get there. And you can see the other things that we expect on this slide here, which are pretty standard for a management contract of this type and of this type of a project. Okay.
Hi, I'm Catherine Kiewit. I'm the mayor of the city of Bingen, which is also on the Washington side. So the the replacement bridge management contract will use a detailed work plan that will cover the span of 3 years on a rolling basis. And the idea is that this work plan is developed and approved in May or June of each year, and covering the work that's to be expected in the next 3 years. So year one would be negotiated and approved, and then the RMC would authorize the work, be authorized to perform that work, excuse me. Only the following 1 year is authorized to be worked. So the follow-on 2 years are used as pre-planning or work accelerations. And any work can be deferred into the following year or hopefully accelerated from an out year into the current year based upon approval by the owner. And that would be done via a change control. And we are planning to operate on a July through June fiscal year. I should have mentioned that earlier. And as with everything, each year will be funding constrained, and approved funding cannot be exceeded.
Hey, Bob.
All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about the reporting relationship. Excuse me. There's two interface groups for whoever is awarded the RBMC. One would be the Bi-State Working Group, which is us. The other is the Port of Hood River Board of Commissioners, of which Commissioner Fox is a member, and there's 5 of them, and they're the entity that we advise. It will be important for whoever wins the management contract to update both groups on progress on a monthly basis. As I mentioned before on the earlier slide, the initial management contract will be with the Port of Hood River to be novated or transferred to the new Bi-State Bridge Authority. Contractually, the point of contact will be Kevin Greenwood with the Port of Hood River. This may or may not change upon transfer of the contract to the new Bi-State Bridge Authority. This will depend on who ends up handling administration for the new authority. Until the transfer of the contract, key decisions will be made by the Bi-State Working Group, with recommendations then made to and authorized by the Port Commission. Because the Bi-State Working Group is an informal group, any decision that would require a more formal adoption would need to be done by the Port Commission. Once the Bi-State Bridge Authority is stood up, then this partnership between the Hood River Port and the Bi-State Working Group will transfer to the new authority.
All right, so this slide is a recap of the key milestones. Most of these dates are included in the RFP. Obviously, today we've got the industry forum, pre-proposal meeting. We are expecting written bids to be received by the 22nd of April. We'll go through an ODOT formatted evaluation process. Up to 3 bidders will then be invited to oral presentations. And if you are going to be submitting a proposal, it would be wise to keep the days of May 9th and 10th open on your calendars so that you can come to Hood River. We anticipate that those oral presentations will be done here in Hood River. And I would say that we're probably looking at a half a day of your time. And so those would be the 2 days that you should be prepared to come into Hood River with your team. Obviously the oral presentations would then be combined with the written scores, and then the top scoring bidder would then be approved to enter into negotiations with. The Bi-State Working Group would make that recommendation to the Port of Hood River, and then the Port of Hood River would make that formal vote likely at their May 17th meeting, and then on the 18th negotiations would start. This is an aggressive schedule, but certainly hoping that we can get the negotiations completed within a month. Obviously, we're going to need to be working with ODOT, and that can always be a challenge as well. But the final contract, once after negotiations are complete, would come back in front of the Port Commission on July, I believe that's July 12th would be the commission meeting where it's approved. And then a week later, formal notice to proceed would commence. But this is an aggressive schedule, and but I think it meets the intent of the Bi-State Working Group and the project at large. And that concludes.
Well, let me jump in there for just a minute, Kevin.
Go ahead.
So a hard point for you folks, I'm pretty sure, is going to be the invite to the oral presentations by 5/2. And then 7 days later, we start the oral presentation and we complete them on 5/9 and 5/10. So it's a pretty short time for you to be notified that you made the top 3. So it probably behooves you to be thinking about your base presentation even before 5/2, so you're not totally scrambling in the last minute. The oral presentations are really made up of 2 sections. One section, the base presentation, and you read in the RFP. You could do that, develop that along with your written presentation if you so desired. There is a problem set, however, which you probably won't be able to prepare much for. And during the oral presentation, we will give you 2 problem sets. And we will give you some time. We will leave the room and you will be able to prepare a PowerPoint slide presentation of how you would address these 2 problem sets. And then we'll come back together and you present your problem set to us, and we will score that as well. So just a kind of a word of caution, 5/2 to 5/9 is a relatively short period of time. So be aware of that.
Great, thank you. Before we enter the question and answer period, I do just want to note that this presentation, this form, if you will be posted on the Port's YouTube channel. And any questions that we receive today, we'll do our best to respond to you here. But what our plan is to actually write out all of the questions and all of the answers, and then we will submit that to everyone within 24 hours. So we will do our best to answer questions now, but it's always good for us to kind of make sure that what we're telling you is accurate. And so the answers that will be in the document that is distributed tomorrow will be the I guess the more official response to any questions. So keep that in mind. And with that, Commissioner Fox, if you want to start the Q&A process.
Sure. Does anyone have a question for us? Okay, nobody wants to ask the first question. So you sure? This is your chance. We must have made an excellent presentation and answered all of your questions.
I'll start. I'll have one. This is Ron Ponanen. I understand there's a desire to have a local presence in the way of an office, I guess on the Washington side somewhere. Do you have an expectation of how soon that space would be up and running?
Yeah, we're actually, there's some options there for us to consider. There's a potential office space in White Salmon or up in Bingen. We're also looking at perhaps making some space available at the port itself. So we would like to have a local presence. We would like to have it on the Washington side, but financially it may be more advantageous to do it on the Oregon side. I personally like a local presence of this group to help stimulate the discussions and communication, especially once we get out of this Zoom criteria that we've got, or we're just about through with. So there's options available for you. I would personally like to see that we establish an office, you know, pretty much right after notice to proceed. Now, you may do it on a ramp up scale, and that's fine. You may not need to bring in all of your people at the same time on day one, based on your work plan. But I would like to see at least the project manager close by, at least many days on the work day or work week. But we're somewhat flexible.
Commissioner Fox, Sean O'Shea just came into the meeting. Sean, can you hear me? I'm not sure who Sean is representing. So Sean, if you could just identify who you are here representing.
Unmute. Let's go to another question then.
This is Melissa with WSP.
Yes, Melissa.
I know in the RFQ, you've outlined the key leads that you'd like to see. In the interview, are you wanting to see all of that team as well? Are we limited in the amount of people we can bring, or is that up to us to determine?
We intend to, well, what I'd like to have is that you bring your at least your key staff. If you want to bring your whole team, fine with me. We would like to be able to be introduced to your key team and listen one-on-one of your presentation. We may end up asking you a question or two. So it'd be desirable for you to bring at least your keys. But it's up to you. And this will be done down at the port office. So we probably got enough room for, 10 to 15 people from each company. We're not going to have all three companies there at the same time. So you have 10 to 15 people plus our evaluation team.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Let me talk a little bit more while you're thinking about a question. We really do want this to be a win-win type of an organization. We want you guys to be integral members of our management team. We're looking to use your expertise to make this project run as smooth as we possibly can make it run. So we really want to create this environment that we can share experiences and manage this project looking out ahead, anticipating problems and dealing with them before they become major problems. We understand that every project, especially as complex as this one's going to be, is going to have lots of problems. Success of this is how we deal with them. And we're looking for a very proactive group of people that form up this management contract to be that type of an organization with us. We've got a few more minutes. Anything else that you guys want to talk about? Okay. Well, Kevin, it's okay to be ahead of schedule.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you all. I have received some email questions as well, so I will include that in the master document that will be distributed tomorrow. And on behalf of the port and the project and the region, thank you all for your participation. you'll be hearing from me shortly.
Bye, all.
Thank you.